Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. Probably came here from that thumbnail, probably came here looking at the title of the video, and you're thinking, does Professor Geek just not want any friends? Does Professor Geek just not want a following on his channel? I ask myself the same question sometimes, but the one thing you will always get from my channel is honest, sincere, and genuine thoughts on these issues. Well thought through and critical analysis applied to these thoughts. You will never just have me joining into the fray of whatever the cool kids are saying about Star Wars or DC movies or what have you. Long ago, I was telling you, Mandalorian, doesn't matter how good the show is, it's bad for Star Wars. It's bad for Star Wars. And lo and behold, here we go. You know, look at all the power Disney gained from it and what they're able to do now. But long before that even, I was the lone voice in the wilderness pointing out that the Joker movie was a horrible, horrible application of the Joker's character. Doesn't matter how good the film may be, it's not the proper treatment of the Joker's character. You don't take an elemental villain and turn around and make him a sympathetic villain. These are two different archetypes, and it's akin to the problem of taking aspirational heroes and trying to turn them into cathartic motivational heroes, like Snyder does with Superman all the time. And people will turn around and say, oh, no, you just don't know what you're talking about. It doesn't make him a sympathetic villain. You know that he's evil. Stop. You don't understand how stories work. Maybe he doesn't make him a sympathetic villain as much as you would think sympathetic villains are. You know, well, I can kind of see what they're doing or whatever. No, you cannot have a protagonist of a story. This is just basic storytelling 101. There's no such thing as a character who's a protagonist of a story, like the Joker is in the Joker movie, and you can't have a protagonist of the story that you don't build audience sympathy and engagement with. That's just impossible. The movie would be horrible and it wouldn't work if you didn't feel something, if you weren't sympathizing with and engaging with the Joker's character in that movie. Now, you might not agree with everything he does about it in the end. You might understand, oh, it's a sickness or this illness or whatever. Whatever, beside the point. You can't have a protagonist of a story and have the story work if you don't feel sympathy and engagement with that character. You have to relate to them, identify with them to some degree, to some part of you. You don't do that with elemental villains. You do not do that with elemental. That's not what they are there for. The elemental villain is there to show you that there is true evil in the world. All right, as much as I have problems with Nolan's films, certain things in The Dark Knight did really get the Joker right. Alfred says some people just want to watch the world burn. There's no understanding them. There's no any of that. About as close as you can get to that is the Killing Joke. But even in that, the big twist of the Killing Joke was this probably isn't even his actual backstory. It doesn't even matter what his backstory is. It's not about, or it is about the fact that he's trying to say, oh, anybody can have a bad day. Anybody can be the Joker. All you need is that one bad day. No. That's giving into that elemental evil. You can't have... Now, sympathetic villains are great. Just like cathartic motivational heroes. They serve their purpose and they're necessary. But just like aspirational heroes, the precious few that we need to maintain and preserve because everything falls apart if we don't have that pure and wonderful archetype to flow from, the elemental evil, the elemental villains, we need them there because villainy falls apart. There's no point of heroism if you don't have real and true evil to fight against. If every villain can kind of be explained away and sort of identified with, and so I kind of see where they're coming from, that's the work of the trickster. That's the run rampant work of the trickster we see in our society today. Question everything, nothing means nothing, there are no delineative lines in matters, there's no good and evil. That's where that gets you. We need elemental villains and stop taking the precious few that we have, like our aspirational heroes, and trying to turn them into sympathetic villains or motivational heroes. So, and I pointed that out, no, people just couldn't handle that I was talking against the Joker because that's not what, no, if you're against the SJWs, you're supposed to support the Joker movie. That's the narrative, you know, that, and people would say, well, you know, so-and-so, this channel likes it. Well, this channel likes it. What do I care what they like? I can respect other channels and disagree with them a lot of the time, which I do. And I'm seeing now, with this Cruella trailer, finally getting to Cruella here, had to lay that groundwork first though, but I'm seeing now people scratching their heads and rolling their eyes, rightfully so, It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous. And it is, as people are rightfully identifying, it is another step in the line, or another step in the progression of Disney's penchant for trying to take female villains. Well, let's round them out and let's show how patriarchal society made them that way. So we got that with the ridiculous Maleficent movies. We've got that with, and it's not even, just Disney. The Wicked franchise was doing that. It's something that, to some degree, that kind of tactic isn't all bad. I point to John Gardner's Grendel, the novel Grendel about the monster of Beowulf. You can do that quite well. The problem is when that becomes a movement, when it becomes a lens through which you're encouraged to look at every villain through, or every iconic villain and iconic hero, good versus evil stories. Disney is doing that. Disney is doing that. They're riding this wave. They think it's going to make them money. And it's been ridiculous. It's been ridiculous with their movies thus far. And now the fact that they're trying to do it with Cruella de Vil is really just like they've finally chosen one in which it's so transparent how ridiculous it is. And it's utterly ridiculous. Cruella de Vil, you cannot, for a children's movie, you cannot get more elementally evil than a woman who wants to skin puppies and wear their skins as a coat. Don't even try to tell me that you want to write a story about, well, let's see how she got where she was. And yeah, she's evil. Yeah, she's bad. Now, I don't know how the movie's going to portray her ultimately. It might make her very sympathetic. It might make her just showing how she became so evil. Whatever, it doesn't matter. As I've said, when you've got a protagonist of the story, stop pretending that you're not going to sympathize, empathize, identify some way to some degree with that character. That's what stories do. You won't follow a story if you have a protagonist that you can't relate to in any way possible. So the movie's going to draw you in, try to draw you in at some level like that. I have no interest in it. And yes, people are pointing out that it is a progression from movies like Maleficent and movies like this that Disney's, been doing for a while now, and that people have been writing books for a while now. They're all kind of books. There's a whole series of books, teen books or whatever, that Disney's released on. I think they do Ursula and different Disney villains on how, this is their pain, this is their problems, and how they were mistreated by society. It's totally ridiculous. And now they're doing it, with Cruella de Vil, which is absurd. It is aesthetically, people have pointed out, it's following on the aesthetics of the ridiculous Harley Quinn Birds of Prey movie, and it's trying to follow that angle a little bit. The trailer looks like some sort of mix mash, horrible Frankenstein of the Devil Wears Prada / Harley Quinn / Maleficent or something. It's just ridiculous. It's bizarre. But my point is, just as we wouldn't have Cruella if we didn't already have this progression of films about the female villains, I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar. It even says that in the trailer, which is ridiculous. But those films about, it's the patriarchy that kept them down, it was the king that mistreated Maleficent and that made her blah, blah, blah. Just as we wouldn't have Cruella if we didn't have those films, you also wouldn't be seeing Cruella if it wasn't for that Joker movie. Don't delude yourselves and think that, no, the Joker was actually a good movie and it's perfectly justifiable that they would do that movie for that character and for that reason. No, it's not. No, it's not. I don't care how much you like the movie. It was the wrong treatment of the Joker's character. It did damage to the character of the Joker in our popular consciousness. Absolutely. We wouldn't have a film like Cruella coming if people didn't fawn all over themselves about the Joker. And you can try and go, no, but the SJWs didn't like, stop. Look, I get it. There are real sources. I've talked about it on my channel many times. There are real dangers of this ideology. And there is an ideology that's got a grip on Hollywood. We know that, of course. And the rest of us trying to act against anything that's remotely against feminism or Marxism or whatever is seen as, you're just a dirty Trump-loving whatever. Yes, there is that. But don't fall so far into that false binary to where that controls all of your critical thinking and discernment. Because that's not the be-all and end-all of the story. People, I actually saw comments I've mentioned before, comments on my videos about the Joker movie saying, yeah, I see what you're saying, but I kind of feel like I have to support it because the SJWs hate it. I really want to go against them. look at what you've done. You've reduced yourself, you've reduced your decisions, you've reduced your own critical discernment to just a political us versus them kind of mentality. Now, you don't ignore that there's real ideologues and ideology that needs to be fought against. Absolutely. But don't fall into this idea where everything's a neat little false binary there. It's not. The problem is bigger than that. And part of the problem is that we've allowed this idea of, we've given a pass to the concept of dissecting elemental evil, trying to make it some level of sympathetic or understandable or a progression into. As I said, we do need some characters like that, but the Joker's not one of them. We do need to know that there is just real evil in the world. Some people just want to watch the world burn. Not everything can be saved. You need to know that's in the world. Now, it's not always that you point to human beings, because human beings, until death, are always redeemable, right? But there's real evil in the world, and some humans just decide to give themselves to that evil, period, no matter what. How do you contend with that, you know? You can't try to understand the person who's hacking you to death with an axe. You know, you can't try to understand the person who wants to burn your house down. You can't try to understand the person who wants to harm your family. This is what elemental evil tells us in stories. This is why it's there. And to take a children's story like the 101 Dalmatians, which was it was a children's book, I understand, I think, at first, and then Disney made it into a wonderfully classic film. And it was a wonderful classic film. You know, children are going to identify with animals and puppies, of course. You know, what's cuter, what's more identifiable is these puppies helpless in the world. Children are going to identify with that. You have the wonderful idea of them all coming together, all the different animals from different regions and different species or whatever working together. It was a wonderful film that talked about working together and saving the innocent, standing up for the innocent, that there is real evil in the world, but that people will come to your aid when you are truly trying to fight for the good. And to take that character, the woman who wants to skin puppies and wear their skins, and try to make her the star of her own film, it's pathetic. It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing that we even live in a culture where some people are going to try and defend this garbage. And it's no different. It's on the same slippery slope that the Joker set the ball rolling on. Yes, you can see this other divergent track for like the Maleficent movies and the feminist, ideology and agenda that's coming into it. Sure, yeah, point that out as well, but don't pretend that the Joker movie had nothing to do with this, or people's rabid defense of any critique that dared come against the Joker movie. It's all part of the same problem. You made that pie, enjoy it. So, Prof dropping some truth again that people are going to find hard to swallow. People are going to rant and rage against him, but it's all there. It's all the truth. That's what I'm here for. So, those who made it to the end, thanks for watching. We'll be back with some more difficult truth, but also with some recommendation videos, continuing our book studies and whatnot as usual. And until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the properly told hero stories you love.